Tomorrow is President's Day. 45 individuals have held that office. It's been estimated that 545 million people have lived in this country since we became a country. And yet only 45, men for now, have ever been called president. What do you think when you reflect on those 45 men? How many do you think did a good job? What are your expectations for a president? Do we want the person who is best on policy, the person most likely to find consensus, or the most persuasive? Do we want someone we can relate to or someone who appears larger than life? Do we want a moral leader, a business mind, a great public speaker? Do we want a president who tells us what we want to hear or one who tells us the truth, even if it's not what we want to hear? There is some consensus that we like George Washington, probably the same with John Adams and Thomas and Jefferson. I've always admired Abraham Lincoln because of all he overcame, the failures, the self-doubt, all of which he overcame to lead us during the most divisive time in our country's history. He seemed humble, like he took the job seriously, but not himself. I liked Ronald Reagan because he was hopeful, and like Lincoln, he experienced defeat in life, but he came back to become one of our most beloved presidents. My grandmother liked Franklin Roosevelt. She was a very conservative person, and Roosevelt did some very not conservative things, but she liked him. Maybe we want a president we can like. America still mourns what could have been with John F. Kennedy. That was a loss from which perhaps we will never recover. In the course of my lifetime, only 2 presidents have received more than 55% of the vote. Only 2 that I can find. And yet 5 were elected president with less than 50% of the popular vote. Think about that. We have not had a consensus leader in 50 years. There have been more impeachments in my lifetime than landslide presidential winners. So on the day we set aside to honor presidents, perhaps it's wise for us to ask, are the expectations we have for our presidents reasonable? Do the right kind of women and men seek that office? Is it possible to succeed in any office when half the people didn't want you there in the first place? How do we even judge the success of a president? And what would it take to find someone that perhaps 75% of us could rally around? What would it take to find a woman or a man who generated real consensus, someone with a real mandate to lead this country? If we are an exceptional country, shouldn't we have exceptional leaders? So how many of our presidents would you describe as exceptional? And maybe the best way to spend President's Day is to reflect on precisely what it is we are looking for in a president. Does the process of seeking that office encourage the caliber of women and men you most want to run and serve? I guess the thing I ask myself on this President's Day is a simple but uncomfortable question. If we struggle to find presidents we like and respect, does that say more about us or them? There's a difference between being a president and being a leader. And maybe the process, the political environment, and the media have made it such that the real leaders do not want this job. So we're left with those who covet the title, while we as a nation are left to covet real leaders. I don't even know if George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, or Ronald Reagan would seek the job today, or if they would be nominated for the job today, or if they would win the job today. I do know this: great people should have great leaders. And if those great leaders aren't even running, then we should ask why not.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.